We're live.
Thank you, Einar. Hello to everyone who have already joined our conversation today. I will start with a formal introduction in a few minutes because I would like to let people to join the live stream and our conversation today, which is going to be extremely interesting, I'm sure, because we have the amazing guests invited for the first conversation.
Thank you.
Huge thank you to you, Gvantsa and Mariam. I will do the formal introduction in a few minutes. Let's wait until we have the audience joining our call. And Mariam is joining us from Batumi, which is fantastic. What is the weather like in Batumi, Mariam?
Sorry?
What is the weather like in Batumi?
Oh, weather is great. Yeah,
okay, fantastic.
It's full of people.
Really? I can't wait until I have my leave confirmed so that I can go and spend a few days on the seaside.
Me too. Yeah. Very much looking forward. Maybe in July.
We're waiting.
Fantastic. Einar just confirmed that the audience can hear us. Some last-minute technical checks just to make sure that we have the audience online and they can hear us and see us, which is great. And in a couple of minutes, we can formally start our conversation. As I mentioned earlier, this is the first time I'm moderating the conversation, this type of conversation online. So this is my first experience. So please bear with me. I will try to do my best, but again, I'm not really experienced in this.
So we are very, very honored to be your first guests.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to host you on our conversation session. Okay, I think it's 13:30, at least on my watch, and probably we can formally start our conversation. Huge thank you to those who have already joined the conversation today, which is the first conversation from the series called In Conversation with Entrepreneurs. The aim of the online webinars that we are organizing under the series under this series in a conversation with entrepreneurs is to tell the wider audience about the culture and creative industries in Georgia. Also to give the opportunity to young entrepreneurs or those who are interested in this field to meet successful creative entrepreneurs from Georgia, to learn about the sector and hopefully to get inspired with an idea to pursue the future career prospects in this field. Also to learn about the challenges and also some of the obstacles they might face if they decide to go that way. As some of you might know, this series is organized under the umbrella of the Creative Spark program, which is a 5-year initiative led by the British Council with the main objective to support entrepreneurship education within the higher education sector. The program is implemented in 3 strands. The first strand is aimed at supporting the collaboration and partnership between the British and Georgian higher education institutions with the main objective to bring the best experience from the UK. Some of you might know that over 50% of the British higher education institutions provide entrepreneurship education and entrepreneurship program on top of the core curriculum delivered by the university. The second strand is aimed at supporting young people to develop entrepreneurship skills and with a particular focus in Georgia on creative entrepreneurship. And the third strand is no less important, I would say. It's aimed at supporting young people to gain English language skills required for entrepreneurship. That's in brief about the Creative Spark program, and let me introduce our amazing guests, the speakers that we invited for the first conversation. Gvantsa Jobava, the chairperson of Georgian Publishers and Booksellers Association, and Mariam Corintelli, Books in Batumi founder, editor-in-chief, and manager, I think, of the whole publishing house from Batumi. I'm delighted we have both guests for this conversation today because they can give you a lot of information about the publishing sector in Georgia, but not only about their career paths, their experience, how they managed to pursue that career opportunity when they started, where they are now, and what are the challenges and opportunities in this sector. So I don't want to bore you with my introduction too much, and I would like to invite our guests and and I've already have some questions prepared for our guests. At the end of the conversation, you will have, the audience will have a chance to ask their questions. So my colleagues, Maya Darchia, Bridge Council Arts Manager, and Gogi Razmadze, the Creative Spark Program Coordinator, are online. They will be kind of going through the questions, grouping some of the similar questions, selecting the questions, and advising me what questions to ask at the end of our conversation. And I also have my colleague Einar Iliev from Azerbaijan, who managed the whole conversation today. And I would like to say a huge thank you to my colleagues for their help in this process. Without any further ado, I would like to start with the first question which are prepared for Gvantsa. Gvantsa, I'm sure you know that UK DCMS, which is the Department for Culture, Media and Sport, equivalent of Georgian Ministry of Education, Science, Culture and Sport, has classification of 9 creative industries, and publishing is one of them. And we all know that the publishing segment of the creative industry is quite developed in Georgia. We all know about the success of our success in Frankfurt and the sector's contribution to make the Georgian literature known abroad in Europe or worldwide. Can you tell us a bit more about the contribution publishing industry makes into the Georgian creative economy in general? What are the challenges and opportunities in the publishing industry?
Thank you, Zaza, for your questions. Thank you for inviting me and Mariam as well. It's really honor for us to start these sessions of British Council, which is really very good idea. And I do hope that the audience which joined us today or will watch the video a bit later, they will just learn a lot of useful things from today's conversation. We'll do our best, try our best to have an interesting dialogue here and to speak about publishing. So the question is really a huge topic, of course, but I will try my best to answer this question. So as for the publishing, you mentioned, and if someone is not aware, I will just shortly mention that really during last few years, the publishing sector in Georgia, literary sector in Georgia was really very successful. We did altogether amazing job, and the most important thing that it wasn't useful only for publishing and only for culture, but it was really useful for the whole country. And this is the main thing and main goal of us people working in the publishing industry, and we always talk to the government that culture is not only for culture. Culture can have much more influences, and culture can cause huge changes for the country itself. And our aim when we were working on the guest of honor project for the Frankfurt Book Fair, it was to do something very special for our country itself, because really we think that the literature has, and especially the Georgian literature, of course, has this power. And the results were really amazing. At the end, we were in preparation for, I think, 7-8 years in total, and at the end the results were amazing. Yes, we did our best to promote Georgian literature worldwide and to have a lot of translations in different languages, but also we wanted to make our country much more visible. And this visibility, of course, helps the economics as well. Of course, we contribute for Georgian economics because we publish a lot of books, like, as I know, it's nearly 3,000 titles per year, and for our small markets, it's a really big number. Yeah, from the taxes and so on, it's really very useful business for the country. But also, it was like this international part of our activities. It's really very important, and we can just say about the real results, what happened after 2018, when we were the guest of honor, and when we had this huge project there, that it influenced the tourism. It influenced the tourism, and not only our presentation, but I will just mention the example, because if we have the British audience as well, and the Georgians as well know very much that even one author, Georgian author Nino Haratishvili, with her book AIDS Life for Brilka, she managed to change the statistics of tourism in Georgia, because when it was published first in Germany and it became the huge bestseller, German people started coming to Georgia because they just wanted to discover the country, homeland of Nino Haratishvili, about which Nino was writing in her book. And I do hope that as this book now is published in English language as well in UK, I do hope that it will rise the number of tourists from UK as well. And it was really huge growth after Frankfurt project. It was 38% growth of tourists from Germany, and Germany appeared to be in the 10 top frontrunners countries, you understand, and Germany never been in this top list of tourists in Georgia, never before that. That means that really culture has a huge interest, a huge influence, and especially for us, for small country like Georgia, what we really have to show, what we really, why we can be interesting for the international audience. It's really culture and of course literature, because literature and the word has great power. And so when we write about different topics, and when the readers, we experience the same ourselves when we read the books about maybe the problems of some countries, we started thinking about them, and it became familiar for us, and yeah, so it became special for us as well. So it happens on the contrary in case of our literature as well, and I think that it should be much more supported, because this is really what we can show, and really what's really matters, we can say like this. So yeah, it was a huge experience, it was a huge success, but now we should go on. It's our plans now that we should go on and go ahead and like go and show our literature to other markets as well. So yeah, we have a lot of plans, but I think that a bit later we will come back to that question again. Yeah.
Going back to the second part of my question, what are the challenges the publishing sector is facing now, and what are the opportunities from your perspective?
Yes, thank you for reminding. As for challenges, so if we speak about Georgian publishing, challenges is that first of all, how we can speak today, not mentioning pandemic situation. Yeah, this is also huge challenge today for the Georgian publishing, and not only Georgian publishing, all around the world. The publishers will say the same. It was terrible period for us, because bookshops were closed and so on and so on, and we were really trying to survive in this situation, and it was hard, but we survived, and now we are trying to go on. The challenge is that so we have amazing publishers on our market, and they are really doing an amazing job. And sometimes we are really surprised that these new bestsellers, which are just coming out in UK, USA, Germany, or any other countries, it's just coming out in Georgia as well. We are really active here, all these special publishers we have on the market, but of course it's hard because it's small country, and as it is small country, the book market is small, and it means that the sales of the books can't be high. So in this situation, when you offer to the readers high quality production, high quality publications, and you want to work really in high quality, it's of course not easy when the audience you are working for is not big, but of course that's why we are so much working the specialist association, but not only we, but the publishers, so to promote reading in Georgia. I think we can say that today in Georgia, new generation is really reading a lot, and the number of young readers is increasing, which is really important. But yes, we have to work. Still, we have to work hard to promote reading and to have new readers. For us, for example, to observe the situation, the special event is Tbilisi International Book Fair, where we just try to count the increase of readers coming there, and we are so happy to see around us so many young people, and the number of young people are increasing. That's really special what's happening in Georgia. As for opportunities, I'd like to see more and more people involved in our sector, in our work. It's really amazing. And I just want to mention that it's not only about literature. People should know that we cover different fields. Publishing means that we are in touch with designers as well, with illustrators as well, with editors, writers, photographers, and so on. So we cover different fields. So in our offices there are spaces not only for people from literature, but from different fields of culture. So a lot of people can find their job in our sector, and just think, if you are a designer, you just have to think about book design, which is really very developing today, very much developing today, and we like to have more and more people involved, because then the quality will be better if a lot of people are involved. So we have a lot of things here to do, so I'd like to have more interest for young people to join publishing work.
Yeah. Thank you, Gvantsa. Thank you for this comprehensive answer, and definitely I can't agree more. The publishing segment is not just a segment, it's a whole ecosystem which is linked with other sectors of the economy, and you made a brilliant kind of link with the tourism, and also you've touched on the general economic situation, whether the publishing center can afford to focus on the high quality production, and whether the general economy and disposable income in general can afford to kind of accept that type of product. Absolutely.
Yeah, I will just give you a very short comment. I wanted to say that statistics, that in 2018, because of the project, we had up to 70,000 free articles in online media and newspapers in Germany and outside Germany, in other countries. You know what it means. We counted it. If we paid for it, it was more than $32 million. But we didn't pay anything. It just was for free for our country, and that was the visibility of the country as well. I really wanted to share the statistics because I think that it's amazing.
Thank you so much. And you've mentioned our amazing publishers, and my next question is to Mariam. And Mariam, thank you once again for joining our conversation with a very short notice. Could you tell us what triggered your interest in publishing? How did you start, and where are you now?
Thank you, Zaza, for that question, and thank you to give me opportunity to participate, to be one of the first participants of interesting series of webinars. It's really great honor and pleasure for me. I started a publishing business 5 years ago, but I set foot in a book market, Georgian book market earlier, when me and my husband, the two book lovers, decided to start a small family business and open a bookstore in Batum. And this place, our bookshop, became immediately extremely popular. And the one of the main touristic destinations, a beloved place among both the residents of the city and the guests, visitors of Batumi. And so we worked there 2 years, and after 2 years, we felt somehow that it was already time to grow, and we tried in a publishing business. These 2 years, I worked personally daily in my bookstore, and so I had great opportunity to observe our customers, to find out what they demanded, what they lacked, and what they required. And we found out that there was a gap in Georgian publishing industry because the readers demanded specific genres like fantasy, like science fiction, and there was no publishing house which paid attention on these genres. I had a specific knowledge, good knowledge of these genres, and so we decided to risk and to try. And so we found the book series, Fantastic Library, which now includes about 200 titles. But we started with 6 books, 6 science fiction and fantasy books, and these books became very popular and beloved among our readers. And so here we are. Now we have more than 300 titles. Now we publish classical books, we publish modern authors, children books, young adult books, science fiction and fantasy as well, and feminist female writers. And we pay attention on Georgian authors and try to publish them as well.
Thank you, Mariam. Gvantsa talked about some of the challenges and opportunities in the publishing sector. From your perspective, from the publisher's perspective, what are the challenges in this sector the future or the current entrepreneurs might face, and what are the opportunities? Why they should be interested in this segment of the creative industries?
I think that Gvantsa mentioned, and I want to agree here, that the main challenge is the overall and fragile economical situation in our country, and quite low amount of readers. The circle of readers is very narrow, and the average amount of copies of books is 2,000, and so it's quite difficult to keep the prices which are profit oriented and which are coordinated to the willingness and to the ability of the readers to pay. It is a main challenge, I think. And the main difficulty is to spread the information, to make the circle of readers wider, to reach regions, but also this profession is very prospective, because every day we can see that the circle of readers is growing, and more youngsters are involved in reading, and so I think that Georgian publishing market has really opportunities to grow up and to go on very successfully.
Thank you. Gvantsa, you know a lot about the publishing business abroad. In Europe, UK, we had various conversations about these topics. What do you think, what the Georgian publishing sector can learn from European or British publishing sector?
A lot, of course, a lot. And we really already learned a lot, but we have to do, still we have to do many things to learn a lot of things. But we already mentioned this preparation period of 7-8 years for the Frankfurt, and that was a period of learning from our foreign colleagues from Germany and from other countries as well, but this time it was especially from Germany, and it was like huge experience for us. And why? So you know that of course Georgian publishing has a huge history, but we really should mention the previous century when we were the part of the Soviet Union, and in Georgia existed all of the state publishing houses. And after the collapse of the Soviet Union in the 90s of last century, when we gained our independence, the first private publishing houses were founded, and so we started everything from the beginning. But what we have missed during the last century, it was the profession of literary agents. We really did not have it. We did not have the tradition of literary agents because the borders were closed, of course, during the Soviet Union. And if the Georgian literature was being translated, it was being translated in Soviet languages and not in Europe, in USA, and so on. Of course, yeah, it was sometimes translated, but it didn't have any results. For example, in English language, we had in the Soviet period some translations, but it didn't have such a big result because it was still published in Georgia in English language or in Soviet countries, but not in the UK and not in Germany and not in France. So the books, even translated into English language, didn't have the visibility. And also the publishers didn't have the tradition of how to sell the rights, for example, how to negotiate with their foreign colleagues all around the world, because it wasn't really possible. So when we had this independence and when the first private publishing houses were founded, and when we went for the first time to the Frankfurt Book Fair and looked around and saw what's going on in the reality, so we understood that we have to change something. So, and that we should start learning from the beginning, and we did it very quickly. I think it was like 20 years, 25 years until Guest of Honor project. And during the preparation from the Guest of Honor project, we are really grateful to the Frankfurt Book Fair team and to our German colleagues who used to come to Georgia. They held different kinds of trainings and so on, and we just learned how to prepare catalogs of the Georgian literature, how to offer it, how to arrange the meetings with our colleagues during around the world in different book fairs and so on, and a lot of details what we really had to learn. So, and you couldn't learn it in Georgia at the university. It's a problem as well. But for example, I graduated from the Tbilisi State University, and there was a profession of publishing. It was united with the Georgian literature and philology, and now it does not exist anymore, but I was lucky because I chose that profession, chose that specialty and learned there. But of course, you learn the main things at your work during the process, during the different experiences you had here. You learn more and more. And of course, even at the university, the people who teach that, they also didn't have such a big experience because they were also beginners. So we really started from the beginning, and we learned a lot from our European colleagues and from the colleagues from UK as well, of course. For example, I had a brilliant experience with working with Coma Press, the British small publishing house, but they are really very good professionals, and we prepared there the book of Tbilisi, the collection of Georgian writers' short stories. And for me personally, it was amazing experience to work together with British editor Becca Parkinson, yeah, I learned a lot at least how they work on editing, and then how they work on promotion, the tradition of these reviews, how it works after the book is out, I mean, and a lot of different topics. And so each connection with the British, German, on any European publishing house and publisher, it's really amazing experience for us, and really important for us. Still, we are learning, trying to learn a lot to develop, and yeah, I do hope that it will, in the future, it will have more and more results.
Gvantsa, thank you very much. The next question I have is the question to both of you, in fact. You both talked about some challenges that the publishing sector is facing, and also you've covered the opportunities in the sector. But in general, what are the challenges that create some barriers for the young entrepreneurs to kind of step into the creative industry field, start up their own businesses, and be successful in this area? I would like to start with Mariam, with you.
I can't talk about other creative industries, but I can tell that publishing industry with to create your career and to connect your career to the publishing industry is not so easy, because this job demands everything from you, demands your time, demands your personal life. You should work really, really hard. Sometimes physical work, I mean, sometimes you have to do all this daily routine work that is not connected to creativity, and things in publishing industry are not so beautiful as it may appear. It is really very challenging and difficult industry, and so the main challenge is to be prepared for all that difficulties, to be prepared to work sometimes only on enthusiastic love, to work sometimes 24 hours a day, to forget about hanging out with your friends and spending quality time with your family. And so that that industry, the publishing market, demands from you everything that you have. But the result, I think, is worth it, because the emotions of your readers are just priceless.
Brilliant answer. Thank you, Mariam. Gvantsa, over to you.
Okay, I would like to answer this question as well. Of course, I agree with Mariam, what she mentioned already, and I will try to add. I will add, first of all, of course, the position of the government, for example. Still, I think that the culture, not only publishing, but the culture is not priority in our country as it should be and as it deserves. And I would be happy, and I would like if one day the government really realizes how important for such country like Georgia, small country with a lot of problems and so on, yeah, and in international field and so on, how important it is, the culture is, and I think that it should really be much more supported, and especially for young people which are involved in publishing, and I think in the other fields of culture as well. It's a little bit demotivation when you see this, when you have this feeling when you're working, and when you see that they are not taking so seriously your job, and sometimes you have a feeling that they think, the government thinks that this is a job everyone can do. It's just a culture, and sometimes they think that it's like, see, you sing, dance, having a good time, and it's all. But really, it's not like this, of course. So I would like, and I would love one day to say that they will take it much more seriously. It's very important for the culture, and the culture is very important for our country. Also, what I have already mentioned, that we don't have at the universities this profession. So young people who want to go to publishing, they just can't learn this profession at the university. But I am always trying to explain them that there are several directions at the university. If you learn it, you just can start working at the publishing house as well. But of course, you will learn the main part of your profession at your job during the working process. But if you choose the literature, for example, if you choose the literature, you learn literature, Georgian or foreign literature. If you and if you know writing, and if you learn properly writing in Georgian, and that also in the modern situation, if you want to be in publishing, you should know English language. It's really important. And also, literary agents, what I also mentioned, if you are a designer and so on and so on, you have to contribute yourself as well, to try different ways to match to this profession. I mean, it's a bit difficult probably, but also I think that it's really possible. So I just want more and more people to be interested, and I would like one day to see that at different universities appears this profession of publishing as well, because it's really very good time for it, I think. Yeah, this is, I think, the main challenge is to enter. It's you have these barriers because you are thinking how I can enter this sector. But it's little bit barriers, but people who are very much involved, following our news, learning what's going on, and so on and so on. I think that it's really possible, and they are very, very welcome to join us.
Thank you, Gvantsa. Thank you both. You're both extraordinary representatives of the culture and creative industry in Georgia, both successful and very result-oriented people. May I ask you a little bit of a personal question that might be interesting for our audience today? Can you tell me about your best and the worst days at work, and what is a key indicator of success for you? And Mariam, with your permission, may I start with you again?
Thanks for the interesting question. The best day, I can say, it was the first birthday of our publishing house. We organized a party for our readers, and I saw the visible result of my job and of my dedication to my job, because I saw first in my life how huge was the army of our readers. And the worst day was last year at May Book Fair, when the trailer, which was loaded with our new printed books and old bestsellers, could not arrive because of some technical problems, and it it was very damageful for us, because we remained practically without books on the main financial event for our industry. And I had simultaneously the best and the worst days during my working time 4 years ago, when heavy snow destroyed our storage, and the part of our books were destroyed. But these worst days were the best days also, because our readers showed unprecedented solidarity, and they immediately started fundraising. They gave us new life and second chance.
Thank you so much, Mariam. Gvantsa, over to you.
Yeah, as it is personal question, I will try to answer as well. So as for best days in my professional life, of course, probably it was connected to Frankfurt as well, but not only. And it was successful not for me only personally, but for the Georgian publishing as well, I think. When in 2018, during the Frankfurt Book Fair and during our project, I was elected as the executive committee member at the International Publishers Association, and it was really historical thing for me as well and for Georgian publishing, because we never have been the board members of this the most important institution, most important organization in international publishing, who covers the whole world, and you among 15 people in the board, you are given the permission to work not only for Georgian publishing but for the international publishing. And that then when these people, the General Assembly, like I think that 60 people supported Georgia on that elections, it was really amazing. But feeling that Georgian publishing is also becoming important internationally as well, and it's not it really can happen. And it's not the fairy tale, because really what I mentioned, it happened in 25 years of our development, and it was something very special for me, and I think for my colleagues and for an association as well, and so on. As for bad days, of course, you always and very often have bad days when you work, and it's very normal for your everyday life. It's really normal, but what Maria mentioned, it can be also a very good day as well, because this bad day gives you huge experience. And you learn a lot from your bad days. Bad days was probably bad days most for me. Probably was in the beginning, not in the beginning, but in the middle of my career, when I was newly elected person at the Georgian chairperson at the Georgian Publishers and Booksellers Association, and in Georgia still it's very hard to have. So the aging problems are in Georgian publishing. We can't say that the gender problem is because really Georgian women are dominating at Georgian publishing, but the problem of age really exists. And when I was 29 years old, the chairperson, and it was too hard to gain the trust from my colleagues, and so we had some very hard meetings when I was like I was just thinking, should I stay here? Does these people really need me or not? But then I thought that, this experience should give me the strength, and I should prove that even the young people, even in the 29th age, can do important things, and I can be important for the other publishers as well. So I tried my best, and I learned from bad experiences a lot, and I'm happy now that I didn't give up and go on fighting. Yeah.
And you are a shining example of that, Gvantsa. Thank you very much for your answer. I'm conscious of time, and I have very interesting questions queuing in our chat box. Most of the questions came from my colleagues, British Council colleagues from different countries. May I start with the first question, which is from Einar Iliev, the British Council South Caucasus Marketing Manager. Has there been a rise in online digital publishing in the recent years, or still the preferred option is the printed book?
I can answer, of course. Yeah, preferred version is, of course, printing. Printed book. We had some increase in online, Especially, I should mention, during the last few months in this pandemic situation, we had huge campaigns together, two platforms of online ebooks. In Georgia, it's Sabacom.g and LitG. We have two platforms like this, and Georgian publishers had a huge campaign together with them. More than 6,000 titles were absolutely free. I mean, ebooks, absolutely free for everyone, every Georgian reader who wanted to read during the isolation and so on. And especially after that, we hear the results from that platforms that the number of readers of ebooks increased unbelievably during last few months. Young readers, more young readers are reading in online platforms and so on. And old generation, not so much, but of course some people from old generation as well is reading online now. But still in Georgia, people say that they prefer the traditional style of reading to read from the physical book.
Georgian reader is quite conservative, so do I. The smell of the book, the quality of the paper matters for me, and so I think that only 5-10% of Georgian readers prefer ebooks.
I must admit that I'm very old-fashioned as well, and I prefer the printed book. So I love the texture, I love the smell, I love kind of the process of reading the book, real book, rather than online book. But I'm not saying that it's a good thing. I think the online books are as important as the printed books. We have a comment from Mr. Guram Koberidze. I don't want to leave this question unanswered. I know it's not directly linked to the publishing or creative industry sector, but Guram, I hope you received the answer from my British Council colleagues. In addition, I just would like to add that there are lots of resources available on the British Council website for English learners. On top of that, we have the Middleton Hall, the radio program aired on Radio Energy, and as of 12th of June, there will be the TV program on the public broadcasting for English learners launched, which is an amazing product, British Council and the BBC joint product, which will allow the learners to learn more about the UK culture, but also to learn language. And in combination with this TV product, there will be the online materials available for the learners. Thank you once again for your question, and let me assure you that we do a lot to support English learners in Georgia. The next question I have from my colleague, brilliant colleague from Azerbaijan, Dilara Ibrahimova, who is asking the question which is linked to the current situation, the COVID-19 situation. How do you think the publishing in Georgia could support parents with homeschooling and maybe open access to some online materials during COVID, during current situation? And Dilara is thanking you for your participation and for all your amazing job.
Thank you to Dila for this question. I will answer in the name of the association and also the publishing house Intellecti, which I'm representing, because it's textbooks publisher, and I think that this question is really related to educational publishers. We already contributed a lot, I think, the whole educational publishers market in Georgia in this field, because the schools were closed in the beginning of March this year, of course, because of pandemic, and the bookshops were also closed in the middle of March. And what we really did, I mentioned this campaign and project together with online book platforms, but also all the publishers, educational publishers, have uploaded the online versions of of their textbooks and additional materials on their websites. So for everyone, for each student, each pupil, these educational materials and textbooks were absolutely free on the website, so they could reach it and use it and so on. For 2-3 months, I think that books were on the websites and the students were really using it, and it was the publishers' really very important contribution in the learning process, which also became harder and harder in that situation. And yeah, so I think that the educational publishers really did amazing jobs in this field.
Mariam, would you like to add anything on this? Would you like to add anything?
During this pandemic situation, our bookstore we organized online hours, fairy tales hours, which took place every Sunday, and so I think that we did our best to support the homeschooling, because we are not the educational publishing house, so there are no other ways that we can.
The next question is from Hande Dika, who is the Creative Spark regional manager, my brilliant colleague from Turkey. And she's asking the question related to creative hubs and incubators that have been created in Georgia as a result of the Creative Spark program through partnerships between the British and the Georgian universities, but not only. And the question is how those hubs and the incubators can support the publishing business.
Should I answer that?
Yes, please.
I think that I'm not so aware, and I don't have the detailed information. I was just involved in the project, and I do hope that in the future I will learn more about this this project. But I think that what this hub can do and help us as a publishers, it's maybe you are just now already helping us because you are focusing on the publishing work, and it's like for the entrepreneurs who are just thinking how to go on, what to do in the future, it's really very important that the British Council is today speaking about the publishing and promoting publishing work. And I think that what will be special for us, it will be to go on promoting this specialty, because it is really very important, and I think that a lot of people interested in the cultural field maybe are not aware about our profession, and I think that we really need more promotion and to just show how important and how interesting it can be for them to go on working in this field. So I think that if there will be further activities to promote the publishing work and involve more and more young people in this field, it will be really very helpful for us.
Thank you, Mariam. This question really reminded me about the Big Idea Challenge competition last year that was organized under the Creative Spark program. And the winner in the creativity category, I think that's how it was called, the category, was the Georgian project called Sapo. Two young people came up with an idea to produce and sell the soap, which had the shape of different kind of animals or cartoons, together with the story in the soap, like a fairy tale about that specific character, which was an amazing kind of idea and amazing project, but also linked with the literature, publishing, and the storytelling, I would say. Thank you. Mariam, would you like to add any comments on this topic? I mean, no. the role of the... Okay, fine.
I agree. Everything Gvantsa said.
Thank you. Maya Darshi, and you know her very well, our arts manager. I mean, she's a local celebrity, everybody knows her. Asking, what do you think the publishing sector needs to improve in their work in order to be up to international standards? And this question is to both of you.
I think that what the publishing sector should do is that a lot of publishing houses need new faces, young faces at the publishing houses, because still in some publishing houses we have the problems of the language, for example, English language, I mean, and it is really very important to have young generation there, because they really are very much adopted in this notice and what's going on in international field and so on. And so their energy, their modern ideas and so on is really very important, because sometimes we really have these problems that we have an amazing publishing house. We want to show them in some platforms, in some projects to the international audience, but they really don't have this what they really need at the end. So they don't know language, and that's why they can't show themselves how they should be seen on the international level and so on. So and I think that in a new publishing house like Mariam is representing is not a problem at all, of course, but still we have the publishing houses from the old time, and I wish that they thought about this topic and they improved it. And also the problem is that small publishing houses especially, they are not so much motivated to sell internationally the rights of Georgian literature. We of course work a lot to promote that direction in the publishing, but they are not motivated because they are small publishing houses, and this job really needs quite a big investment probably from the publishing house, and the result comes quite later, and that's why they really don't have enough finances to invest in this field, because it's a problem for them, and that's why I think that I would like and I would love that they were more and more active internationally, and that is what we are really doing and trying our best to help them also in this field.
Yeah, we all are trying our best to keep the high standards of our publications, but I think that only economical stability should allow us to keep going and to move on, because it's really hard to work in this situation when the population has not income to allow themselves to afford the books. And so we need only economical stabilization, I think.
And more supportive projects from the government.
Of course,
Yeah.
because the government should realize that helping us nowadays is our steps for the future, because they should make reasonable and thoughtful steps to help us.
Thank you very much. Before we round up, I would like to ask you both, what would be your advice to those who want to pursue their career path in the publishing sector? What will be your advice to young, enthusiastic people who want to step into this field, into this water?
So first of all, my advice for each young people who is now in the process of choosing the profession, how to proceed, how to go on, how their life should look like, and so on. I always used to say that they should be sure that this is the profession of their life, what they are choosing. This is really important because I will shortly mention that when I was choosing my profession, when I decided that I want literature and I want the publishing work, still the stereotypes were too strong in our country for that time. It is still strong today as well, but for that time as well. And from my, not from my parents, I was lucky, but from my relatives, I had heard the comments that what should you do then after you graduate from the university? You will have a low salary. Where should you work? And so on and so on. And they advised to become doctor, economist, like a lawyer or something, these popular professions. And I really believe that my family also, and that really I was lucky, believe that if you are doing the work, the job of your life, then you can be successful in any profession. First of all, be sure that this is what you really want to do, because this is a profession which needs huge passion. Without passion, you won't succeed in here. It's not possible, because really in the cultural field in Georgia and probably in other countries as well, the salaries are quite low to compare to other professions. But when you have a passion and when you know that then you feel that you are useful while you are doing this job, and you feel that this is really useful job and you are happy with your job, then the success comes. So that's why in publishing, the first thing is a passion, because you will have a lot of barriers, and you will see that on the same level in other profession, your friends have more salaries and more advantages and so on, and you have to work more, but not with such a big results. But at the end, you realize that you are just happy doing this work. And if you think that this is really the job of your life, then I promise you that if you do your work with great passion, you will be successful here as well.
Yeah, I agree that sometimes you just work on enthusiastic love. And my advice for people who want to connect their future to that publishing industry will be that you should realize your responsibility. You are responsible on what you publish, because you have a huge influence on younger generations, and it's not easy to realize. And it's really hard job. You have to dedicate everything to that job, but the result is worth it. And you should be prepared for the critics, because the modern reader never hesitates to express their opinion. And you should be well prepared for that. Sometimes you may feel that everything you built, everything that your hard work is falling apart because you hear not very pleasant critics from the readers, but it's normal. It's part of the process, working process, and you should be familiar.
Thank you both. Very, very interesting comments. Talking of the constructive feedback, the last question basically for today, any feedback to us, to the British Council, what is that we should consider when organizing these conversations in the coming weeks? Anything you wanted to see more or less?
This question is for us, right?
Both of you. Okay. Something we need to consider for our future in conversation with entrepreneurs.
I don't know, because I think that everything was perfect, but the audience should say it. I think for me personally, it was brilliant.
For me,
very interesting. But maybe the audience will say that we had to do something differently, and you had to change something. But for us, it was really brilliant.
Thank you very much for this excellent feedback. Of course, we will be collecting the feedback from our audiences. Thank you to those who stayed with us for this conversation. I hope you find it interesting, engaging, useful, inspiring as we aimed. And please follow us on our On the Bridge Council Facebook page. Please keep an eye on the Bridge Council website. There will be other conversations organized with young, talented, creative entrepreneurs in Georgia. And huge thank you once again to our amazing guests today. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for the great experience.